Yes, guys, welcome back to the Tottenham Lens. Hope you're well. Your host Anthony is here with you. Now, we're going to get straight into things. How has the Tottenham's stadium changed the club? Has it changed the club forever? There's been a lot of stuff going online in regards to Newcastle fans and Aston Villa fans, wondering why we were able to spend so much. Even Tottenham fans are actually wondering how come we can spend so much, especially after two back-to-back 17th place finishes. Yes, we won the Europa League, which was fantastic, but we've always been told by Daniel Levy that we ain't really got money to spend and we've got to be smart in the market, etc. But let's think about the stadium. Is there hidden reasons that we potentially could compete again? Let's deep dive into this and find out how things have worked for us. So when Tottenham announced that they were building the new stadium back in 2008, plenty of people posed the question around this decision. Fans asked whether the club should be spending over £1 billion on bricks and concrete instead of world-class footballers. Rival fans even laughed and mocked us, saying Tottenham built an NFL stadium, a toilet bowl, instead of being a football club. But if you fast forward today, and Tottenham are spending significant amounts of money in the transfer market, attracting elite managers and trying to compete for Europe's biggest players. So what's changed? Was Daniel Levy simply waiting for the right moment, or was it always part of a bigger plan? Today we're going to go behind the scenes to explain how Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has completely transformed this football club, and why it might be the single most important decision in Spurs' modern day history. So why Tottenham had to leave White Hart Lane? So if we take it back, White Hart Lane has gone down in history for many years. A lot of people would have spent their first time going to the stadium, experiencing a lot of firsts at that stadium. Would have gone down in history for generations, for many supporters, family, friends, loved ones, etc. It was Tottenham's home for 118 years. One of English football's most iconic grounds. Famous for its atmosphere because it was so compact and tight in. But then, if we really think about it, White Hart Lane only held around 36,000 supporters. But if you think about it, meanwhile, you have Manchester United with 74,000, Arsenal 60,000, Liverpool 54,000 before their expansion, West Ham 62,000 roughly. Every home match Tottenham were effectively turning away thousands of potential customers. If you think about it, football clubs don't just simply sell tickets, they sell hospitality packages, corporate boxes, food, drinks, merchandise, match day experiences. If another club has 25,000 more people every other weekend, they're making substantially more money before a ball has even been kicked. The revenue difference builds up year after year. Daniel Levy, he realised that Tottenham couldn't consistently compete with Europe's biggest clubs while earning significantly less money every season. Instead of trying to compete with Manchester United, Arsenal and Liverpool using similar football decisions, he decided to compete through infrastructure. That's an important distinction. Levy wasn't trying to build immediate success. He was trying to build a football club capable of generating its own wealth. But this could be seen as like the biggest gamble in our history. Construction eventually cost around 1.2 billion, making it one of the most expensive football stadium projects in the world. Sorry, just bloody flying around while I record. Many supporters were worried. And some of the questions that were posed was, will this stop us signing players or world-class players? Will the debt cripple the football club? Have we sacrificed football for business? There were many concerns. Tottenham decided to finance much of the project through long-term borrowing rather than simply paying for it outright. The expectation was that increased revenues generated by the stadium would service the debt over time. For several seasons after the move, the club remained relatively cautious in the transfer market, while balancing stadium repayments and football investment. This helped fuel the narrative that the stadium was limiting spending. And this goes back to even the time where we didn't even sign any players in 2 transfer markets, or we only signed one player within the space of 3 transfer transfer windows. So why is this Tottenham Stadium different? Most football stadiums, they're open 25 to 30 times a year. So you think about league games, which is 19 for the season, depending on how far you go in the League Cup and how far you go in the FA Cup, in and around for the average team 25 to 30 times a year. With Daniel Levy and Enoch, you could say that they wanted a stadium, a facility that would, or a venue should I say, that's operating 365 days a year. Now, each element that adds up is because of the features that we've decided to add in. So if you think about the NFL partnership, Tottenham has a long-standing agreement to host regular season NFL games. With that brings in global television audiences, international visitors, hospitality income, merchandise sales, food and beverage revenue. It's a different stream of income. You now think about concerts. The stadium has hosted global artists including Beyonce, Pink, Lady Gaga, Guns N' Roses, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chris Brown, is about to host Jay-Z. I want some of that Beyonce money in my club. I'll tell you that for free, because this is the type of revenue which is helping us to push forward as a club. Each major concert attracts in and around 60,000 people and generates revenue from venue hire, catering, hospitality and retail. The venue becomes a major entertainment destination, not just a football ground. So it's like when I used to run a personal training business, they always used to say, you need to have multiple revenue streams. Fantastic. It's great that you run personal training sessions, but you're one person. I'm one person. I only can do so much. So what else can I do? Okay, great. I'll do online session plans. So people don't always have to train with me physically. So I could do plans. I can do one-to-one sessions where they're face-to-face. I might create some merchandise. I might teach them classes. You're starting to build out a revenue stream. And that is what Tottenham's doing right now. Retractable pitch. This stadium is innovative in terms of its features of the retractable grass pitch. The natural football surfaces slides a way to reveal the field underneath, allowing NFL games, concerts to take place without damaging the Premier League surface. The engineering makes it possible to stage multiple types of events throughout the year. If we move on to visitors attraction, many fans don't realize the stadium continues to generate income even when there are no matches. So now we're in that pre-season time, or the football window, the football season being closed. We're still generating revenue through, the Dare Skywalk, stadium tours, Formula One drive, London karting experience, the club shop, restaurants and bars, conferences and corporate events. The aim is to keep people coming to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium every week of the year. So what Tottenham's ultimately done is made themselves their own little city, their own little town, where constant visitors are always coming. When matches are taking place or concerts are taking place, instead of just turning up and rocking up just for the concert, people are rocking up there hours before the concerts and enjoying themselves, or the matches. People are enjoying themselves during the event, and then again after the event they're enjoying themselves, because there's always that bit of time where they can spend more money, buy drinks, food, etc. So Tottenham's trying to really think out of the box in terms of how they can keep people coming to Tottenham. Now, the business machine behind Tottenham, instead of relying almost entirely on football, Tottenham earn money through multiple streams, as we said: Premier League match days, European matches, concerts, NFL, visitors attraction, hospitality, sponsorship, retail, conferences, food and drink, premium experiences. It's like, imagine owning your own restaurant that's busy every other Saturday. Now imagine owning a venue that's attracting customers almost every single day of the year. That's essentially what Tottenham have built. So why can Tottenham spend more money now? This is where many fans believe owners simply just write checks. That's really sort of like how clubs operate today. Obviously, we have the profit and sustainability rules that everyone has to, adhere to. But the club's ability to spend is influenced by revenue, wages, existing debt, player sales, amortization of transfer fees, and overall profitability. And again, Tottenham's used a lot of money, have brought in a lot of revenue. Our wages are fairly low. Yes, we have the debt of the stadium, but we pay that over time. And obviously we make money from player sales, and how we structure transfer fees, etc. So the more flexibility generally have to invest while staying within the rules. That's why growing commercial and matchday revenues matter. It doesn't create unlimited spending, but it does strengthen the club's financial position. So Tottenham's stronger revenues have contributed to their ability to make ambitious moves in the transfer market while remaining within financial regulations. Now, has Daniel Levy been proven right? It makes you think about that interview when he done with Gary Neville for the Overlap. Will people or the fans only appreciate me once I'm gone? And I think that's the case that we're starting to see a lot. We're seeing a lot now. that a lot of people are starting to appreciate that Daniel Levy, he built the foundations of Tottenham Hotspur, took us from where we were up until this point. And now I think we're going to start to see the fruits of our labor in terms of what we're trying to build. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time for us to get it right. I think it's going to take time in terms of also recruiting the right people. I think so far we're seeing some good, positive stuff, but it's also going to take time to get the right people pulling the right strings overall. There's supporters out there who back Levy, and they might argue that, the stadium is world class. Tottenham's revenues have increased significantly. The club has become more attractive to sponsors, players and managers because of Levy. He has created a financial platform to compete more consistently. But some supporters might say success should ultimately be measured by major trophies, increased revenue, increased revenues has raised expectations. And fans expect the financial advantages to translate into sustained success on the pitch. So to sort of bring this all together, whether you're Daniel Levy's biggest supporter or one of his biggest critics, one fact is difficult to dispute. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has transformed this football club. It has changed how Spurs earn money. It has changed how the club is viewed around the world. It has changed the caliber of events Tottenham can host. And perhaps most importantly, it has given Spurs the financial platform to compete in a way that simply wasn't, weren't possible to do at White Hart Lane. The stadium wasn't built to win one transfer window. It was built to shape the next 30, 40 years of Tottenham Hotspur. The only question remains is this: can Tottenham now turn financial success into sustained football success? So it's down to you guys now. Let me know your thoughts and comments below. And if you enjoy this deep dive, subscribe to the Tottenham Lens and more Tottenham analysis behind the headlines. As always, come on you Spurs.